Have you ever tried making pizza at home, but you failed and had it either too soggy or too ultra crispy, like old cookies in your mouth? You cannot afford to buy a wooden oven like your favorite Italian. You're just like me. Are you sick of people telling you that you can never ever get good results by making pizza at home? They are wrong. I got some vital steps to bring the love back to your homemade oven pizza and have your guests, friends and family scream hell yeah. So first, let's stick our head into the dough, shall we? So see if you can get hold on some type 00 wheat flour, which is a highly refined flour and will give you the best results. In Austria, you can use the type 480 of plain wheat flour. Any higher number is less refined. So therefore, stick to 480. Highly refined flour almost has no nutritional value, but it contains a high amount of protein, gluten, which will give you elasticity and will lead to the fluffiness that we want to have in the core of our pizza. Regarding hydration of the dough, there's various water to flour ratios depending on what kind of pizza dough you want to have. I will leave a link in the description. I used a 65% hydration, meaning that for 1 kilogram of dough, I used 650 milliliters of water. Since I will be using only 500 grams of flour, it is exactly the half. Those 500 grams of flour will give you around 4 small to medium pizzas to work with. You can use dry or fresh yeasts, however you prefer. Just take the amount that it says on the packaging for the amount of flour that you're taking. So I'll let the flour run through a sieve to loosen it up as best as possible. Mix it with your hands and let the dough roll on your board. Now, one essential step to make sure that the dough does not stick to your hands. Roll it away from you in a rhythmic manner over and over again for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Now, it's time for the salt. Try to never put the salt immediately into the water before the yeast has mixed with the flour, because the salt will deactivate the yeast when combining it directly. So therefore, gently knead the dough, and after your first round of kneading, add your salt, which will be 32 grams per kilogram. So I used 16 grams of salt. Now take a bowl and pour in some of the good native olive oil. Rub it against all sides with your hand. Take a towel or a kitchen roll and wet it. Cover the bowl for the dough not to dry out. And now, the most essential step. We put our dough into the refrigerator, or we leave it outside, overnight. Don't touch it. So what will happen overnight is that the yeast cultures will transform the starch from the flour into sugar, mainly glucose, which will serve as a nutrition for the yeast during the process of fermentation. Since our dough is very tight, where there is no oxygen, an anoxic environment, so to say, what the yeast will do is it will produce alcohol and carbon dioxide out of the glucose. The carbon dioxide will lead to the characteristic bubbly and fluffy texture of the dough that we all want and love. So, let's leave it overnight and let our little yeast cultures do the work.